March 18th, Falmouth Conservation Commission hearing. On tonight's agenda, the first thing up is to vote March 4th, 2015.
We don't have them.
Right.
I was wondering.
We need to have
So they
them
would go-
transcribed, so they'll be on the agenda for a while until Susan gets back.
Awesome. Moving on.
4 copies.
Request for determination of applicability. This is the lesser of the two permitting procedures that we're going to hear. What you want to have is a negative determination. Negative means that the project can go on as discussed with staff. The first is 353 Edgewater Drive West, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to replace retaining walls under the deck with a concrete wall on the north side and stone walls on the south side. Replace the deck as needed. Replace fences and gates. Repave the driveway. Install a flagpole. And to regrade and reseed disturbed lawn area.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the staff will review the project. We are recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
Motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
That's Russell's motion. Mary's second. Okay, and is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this? Seeing none, any further discussion on the board? Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved.
This is a negative determination.
It is a
Correct.
negative determination, correct. That was the motion, and then... Okay. Next up will be 38 Mares Pond Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to pump, fill, and abandon the existing cesspool, install a new Title V sewage disposal system, remove an existing deck and hot tub, remove a different deck and balcony, and rebuild within the same footprint.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until April 8th.
So moved.
And I need just to pause this meeting for 1 second. Thank you.
What was it, April 5th?
8th.
8th.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we have Mary's motion
I'll second it.
and Russell's second. This is for a continuance until April 8th. Any further discussion on the board? Any discussion from the audience? Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Moving on, this is request for hearings under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. Just as a little bit of housekeeping, at this point in time, if anybody has a phone or electronic devices, if you just would silence them so that we don't get interrupted during that. In this portion where testimonies are going to be given, when you come up to the podium, please identify yourself clearly so that the records keeper can read with this. It's a new records keeper, so we're just going to kind of assist with that as much as possible. First is Lot 159, Lot 160, Sea Pit Road, McCoy, Mass. For permission to reconstruct 160 linear feet of bulkhead seawall with sheet piling driven in directly in front of the existing wood wall, including the placement of wood whale beams at the top of the wall. Install a 3-inch by 12-inch wall cap and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping.
Cheers to it.
Thank you.
Good evening, folks. I'm Jeff Ryther with BSS Design, representing the applicant this evening. Let me get the house address here, correct? All right, so this is existing house at 194 Sea Pit Road. This slopes down to the waterfront on Sea Pit River. We have the river for resource areas, the river itself, some coastal beach, salt marsh, a couple of strips of marsh here, and beach are sort of in the same linear area. Then we have coastal bank, and beyond that, the flood zone. We got the new AE elevation 13. Existing dock was recently repaired under an RDA. It's licensed 5542. So the project here is to rebuild an existing seawall. It's about 3 feet high. It's well vegetated in behind. We looked at options with the contractor, and his opinion was it was best to propose the sheet piling, which we're using here, in front of the existing wall. The wall is a little bit out of plumb, so we're looking to remove some of the upper part of that existing wall after the new wall's in, and then fill in behind and plant any disturbance in behind. The section is taken right here to give you an idea how it would look in cross-section. We have a top view here. This is, shore guard. It's a vinyl sheet piling, and it doesn't need any whale beams or excuse me, not whale beams. It doesn't need any tieback rods, so we don't have to dig in behind. But we do want to fill, and to fill in behind, we would need to take the top of that wall off. And I do have some photographs. Did anybody go to the site? Yeah. Hold on. Right, 2 there. I had one for everybody here, I don't think, but for the record.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
So you'll see that that wall has got a little bit of a lean to it. That's just simple lumber. It's not the typical way we do seawalls or bulkheads today. But so that one lasted for a while, but it's all just old PT and leaning and rotten. About the wall itself, it doesn't show up in the license. And in your notice of intent, I showed you a snippet of a 1975 town topo. It's labeled at the top, but it's dated 1975. And so that suggests that I can grandfather this wall. It doesn't show it from one end to the other, but it does definitely show the wall at this end of the project into the next door neighbor's lot as well. If you see where it's dated on top, yeah. And so let me just point out to you.
Not a great copy of this.
That right there is the wall where I'm going, and then it disappears into the wooded area. So I can't show you the entire wall, but it shows that there's wall there. And just prior to starting tonight's hearing, I did speak to Jennifer, and she was thinking that maybe I have the wall on the wrong side of the existing wall, and being that I could keep from damaging this little bit of marsh here and a strip of marsh here. Now, this is how most of us propose it. I can understand the strip of marsh that would be damaged, but I think we'd perhaps damage as much marsh taking away the old wall and putting in the new wall. Because then we're losing earth into the marsh. But either way, you know, if you'd like to have that wall on the backside, we would certainly be able to drive in behind, because there's no tie-back rods or anything like that in the way. So we could probably do that, and you know, I think it would cost a little bit more, but anyway, I'd like to listen to any comments.
Thank you, Jeff. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if it is all feasible, I would prefer the wall on the back side. Removing the wall, yeah, the marsh may be impacted, but the marsh it'll bounce back as opposed to permanently taking part of it. If not, you're gonna have to come up with a restoration plan for that part of the marsh that's being removed with the placement of the new wall. So actually, I think you're probably better off putting it behind, but that'll be up to the board. And those were my only comments, actually. I mean, the wall has to be repaired, so.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, Jeff, who's the contractor?
Well, at the moment, it's John Hanson
Okay,
from East Falmouth.
but they haven't signed a contract with him, so.
No, we need to get this licensed, and
Okay.
the whole process is
Process,
several months, probably 9 months.
Okay.
I have a question, just to understand wall if the wall is not behind, is that behind the marsh, behind the existing wall? Okay.
No problem.
Mike?
Before, all that yard litter that's been dumped on the bank on the north slope, north end of the property. You asked me to go out and see these things, and then I see it, and what the hell do I say? I really, so, and on the dock, you got the float sitting there with all this construction debris that, you know, really looks like it's about to be dumped into the river rather than on the dock. And charging around in the snow, enough. That plastic, when you drive it, wave or even flood action is coming over the top. There's no drainage in that new sheeting. Is that going to be a problem? I know it's only 3 feet high, but you've got all this hydraulic loading behind it.
Yeah, I don't believe
New
it's going to
plastic going to end up in my wetland? That's the question.
No, that is very strong plastic. You can see the you know, the cross-section view, or the
That's fine. If you're convinced, I'm convinced. I'm not.
Yeah, that's
you know,
not
I'm
gonna-
just saying
that's
that
not gonna
I'm
give up.
looking at it. You got all this water piling up behind it.
no, there's going to be at least 6 to 8 feet of it in the ground, and 3
Okay.
feet of it out of the ground. So
On the south end, you're going to have quite a bit of filling so that whether the wall is in front or behind, the existing doesn't hit me one way or the other. You know, I mean, there's nothing behind the wall that's fixed.
no, it's all
On the
washed
south
out
end,
there.
yeah. So on some of those sections, I'm almost, I'll go along with staff and whatever they think it's a mixed bag in my thinking. That's it.
Thank you. Wes?
I gotta agree with Jennifer on this one. I really think the sheathing should be behind that wall. It definitely has to be replaced, I agree, but I think you're better off going away from the salt marsh. So I mean, the landward side of that existing wall, I kind of agree. I think that's where it should go.
I think we can do it.
Yeah.
I'm just, you're not going to be able to get right up to it, so you're going to be probably a foot behind,
But you might run into that on the other side too, where you couldn't keep it as close to the existing wall on the
Right.
seaward side, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
That's
might
my
be going
concern,
further
yeah.
into the salt marsh here and there, so I think,
I've seen enough of these on plans and then what they actually look like in the field, and that's where my concern lies, so.
I think that would be a good compromise if we accomplish that. And I just want to follow up with Mike, if they could clean off those floats.
Yeah.
Yeah, clean the
You know,
floats, yeah,
yeah.
I just wrote that down.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the dumping on the bank, because last time I was there was 3 weeks ago, and there was,
Well, I was there
3 foot of
today,
snow,
and I could see, old grass and such.
yeah, this is a new owner, so, they're not even living in there.
Yeah. Okay. That's it, Mr. Chairman. I'm good.
Mary?
My reaction to this was that I wanted to ask if we could have the vinyl behind the existing wall.
Yeah.
So far, we're unanimous, I guess, on that, or maybe not. That's all I have for now, right now.
Mario?
Yeah, I basically agree with Russ and Mary. Yeah, the bulkhead definitely needs replacing, there's no doubt about that. Are you familiar, have you reviewed the DMF letter, Jeff?
Yeah, I thought it was fairly favorable.
Yeah, they do recommend some comments. So you feel that
Yeah,
you've
so
met those?
number one, minimize seaward encroachment of the bulkhead. I think we're gonna actually,
Yeah.
that marsh will probably end up filling in.
Yeah.
So it'll actually
Yep.
put back. And then it said all work should be performed from the upland. That's gonna be tough because we have to drive these sheets in with a vibratory machine from a barge. Not from, you take out so much vegetation to
Definitely,
come
I
in
wouldn't
from
worry about
behind.
that.
You don't want to do that bank.
I don't think there's anyone here that would want to see it done from the leeward
No,
side.
no,
We're all
exactly.
in
You're on the
agreement that
barge.
the barge.
Yeah, we're on the barge, yeah. I think the rest of the other two are pretty straightforward. Fuel spills, that's really common in your standard conditions for marine projects.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay, so how long has the homeowner had this property? A year? 2 years?
Not even that,
Not even yet?
no.
Well, and was the dock permit under these owners, or was that the seller?
There's an RDA.
Was
It's
it
RDA under the new owner.
Underneath the new owners. Well, they started with a little hiccup. The debris on that dock, on the floats. Not good. Does not make a good impression. All right? That's very unfortunate. Please convey that
Yeah,
to your client.
I can talk to
That
them
that's
tomorrow.
displeasure, because if that's the benchmark for site cleanliness, that's disappointing. I'm trying to be nice about this, because we are permitting, and rightly so, a new bulkhead. Last thing I want to see is this poo-poo to do caca not addressed the right way. You're going to have a certain amount of debris on this now.
Yeah. Is this cuttings or, like I said, I hadn't been out there in 3 weeks, and maybe one of the
Reed.
storms
Lynn,
tore it up.
Well, no, on the
On the
floats.
On the
floats.
float.
On the floats.
It was
Mostly-
peachy,
Peak-
Peachy.
electrical
pieces.
and chunks of wood from
Yeah.
cutting,
It was obviously from the construction of the construction work done on the dock,
Okay, he just didn't pick up?
Yeah.
behind?
Yeah,
that's
The
right.
two
That's-
floats just,
and so that leads to me to be somewhat suspect that site management is lacking. And that whomever it is, maybe this volunteer would have to make sure that he visually inspects things. I'm just really tired of really putting a good foot forward and people just not respecting it.
Yeah, that wasn't, just to, give you my comments, that wasn't my project.
And
The homeowner and the marine contractor filed an application.
And
So,
I'm not
so I-
disappointed in
but-
your...
But I know who it is.
And I want you to relay this directly from the chairman of the Conservation Commission. I'll make it real easy for you. Please tell them that the chair was disappointed about the activity of how they manage the site, and that to do so in the future with a project that will be permitted would be very disappointing.
Yep. Got it.
Clear?
There's the bell.
Yep. So,
Hopefully he's watching tonight.
well, I hope a lot of people are watching. I'm getting really tired of, we've permitted a lot of things, we spend a lot of time reviewing stuff, and it's disappointing, because that goes into a sensitive area, those cuttings. And it just, it was only an RDA, it made it that much easier to do. Didn't have to be a notice, and it was with the homeowner and the marine contractor, that's fine. Maybe they had a bad day. Well, I don't want to see a whole bad day with other, now that you're going to have a larger project. And I just want to make that crystal clear. So if we,
So I think I'm going to need a couple of weeks to, because I need a week to get you a revision here. We're going to swap that around, so. Unless you want to close it, and I can move it, the wall without you looking at it, but I think,
I mean, I
I
wouldn't
think you
have
need
a
to look at
problem
it.
closing it.
Yeah, but now the staff's gonna have to review the plan.
it's behind the wall as we had requested.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
Give me a revised plan.
The revised plan, if we close the hearing tonight, if there's a motion to close it, revised plan showing the location of the wall,
Yep.
and a really good methodology of how they're gonna handle their debris, okay? And the
Oh, yeah.
restoration work on the salt marsh that will be exposed.
Oh, now we're getting into a little bit more, if you're gonna close that. If you want a methodology.
Of
and
just
a-
how we say,
And a
it's
salt marsh restoration plan, this will be continued to April 8th, which is fine. I think we have plenty of room. 8th, would that give you enough time, Jeff?
You guys, here.
would that be enough time for you if there's a
Yeah.
continuance?
Thank you.
Are we clear as the board as what we expect out of the applicant?
Okay, so methodology and a revision, April 8th. Is that what I heard?
And salt marsh, and how are you gonna deal with the salt marsh?
The newly created area.
Well, they don't really need to do a newly created area if they're
Just
putting
leave
the
it
wall
alone.
behind, because they're not taking that.
When they're pulling this stuff out.
Yeah, okay. Salt marsh restoration plan on damage to the marsh and a revision to the plan.
Okay.
And we don't meet on the 1st, Jeff, so it'll be the 8th.
Got it.
That should give you plenty of time.
Is there any further discussion on the board?
Make a motion to continue till April 8th.
Second.
Okay, that would be Russell's motion, and I'm going to go with Mike's second. That's a motion to continue this till April 8th. Before we vote on that, is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this project? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you, Jeff.
All right,
Thank you, Jeff.
Next is 50 Gardner Road, Woods Hole, Mass. For permission to reconstruct approximately 170 square feet of existing stone revetment and steps and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, David Martin here on behalf of the property owner. I'll be brief. We have a small but very important structure at this site. People see it, it's outlined as a poly line. It basically ties together this straight concrete vertical wall with this riprap wall here.
The merits.
I missed Chairman, I thought that was your part.
Yeah, I did too.
Boy, wouldn't that be good, huh? Well, unfortunately, that was something that came from downstairs.
Mr. Chairman, I blew it.
No, this is...
Mr. Chairman, so we have the small structure, a small riprap structure tying the vertical concrete wall to the riprap wall. This was built perhaps 10, 15 years ago, properly permitted, I believe. It also protects the scour. At the end of that coastal bank. It works very well. I've been on the site during a severe winter storm. Waves are overtopping the seawall, filling the marsh with water, and the structure does not need to be enlarged, lengthened, raised, or any of the sort. The problem being, it was constructed of small trap rock sized stone. So every time we have one of these storms, wave action comes in, that corner takes it from the north very badly. Seas come over, they wash these stones into the salt marsh. Property owner and the kids pick up stones, carry them back, throw them up, happens again. I'd like to remove this structure and reconstruct it with larger stones, ton and a half. Same footprint, same height, same everything. That's it.
Thank you. Jen?
No question.
Mike?
Stay off that wall on a windy day.
I warned
No
you.
other comment.
Russ?
I have no question.
Just for my edification,
Yeah.
what's the dimensions of a 1.5 ton stone?
Well, we're going to use stones that are approximately this big.
Okay.
There'll be various sizes. Some stones will be smaller than that. Those are the armor stones that you don't have to fit them all together. It's interesting, when you go to the site, you look at the back side of the wall, you can see what the ocean has sorted the stones that it can move. So the stones that remain behind the vertical wall are about the right size.
Yeah,
Go a little bit larger, and the stones that have been migrating back in the salt marsh are obviously too small.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mario?
Yeah, David, it just says in the narrative, there'll be temporary minor impacts to vegetation along the construction access
Yes, sir.
area.
Yeah. I can address
What
that.
are we talking about in square feet here, and whether or not the root systems are going to be, you know,
I talked to the owner about that. The way this is going to be constructed, there'll be one trip in along that axis with an excavator. He'll drive in once, he'll park where he can reach the stone and where he can turn and reach the truck.
okay.
I spoke to interestingly enough, this same location has been used multiple times in the past for access. And when I saw it in full vegetation, it was in remarkably good condition. It was used as access to construct that concrete wall. And at the same time, at approximately the same number of years, it was also used for access to reconstruct that riprap wall. Fairly major job there. The owner, the minor impact would be to the upland side of the access, not the resource area of the side of the access. The owner would like to, the owner has previously made quite an investment in restoration plantings there and nurturing them, is quite fond of them. And we've talked about how important they are to hold soil in place, and he understands that clearly. He would like to hand dig them out, it turns out, before it goes in, because he doesn't want to put new ones in if he doesn't have to. I don't believe we'll have any root damage if we didn't do that.
Yep.
They would be flattened, and they pop back up.
This is upland vegetation, basically?
Uh,
Upland or dune or?
No, I would say it's not BBW. It's been a while since I've seen the plants. Upland, I would tend towards saying yes.
Looked like there was a lot of invasive stuff up on top there.
There's a lot of invasive up the slope.
Right,
Right, but he planted that lower 4 feet in the past with something appropriate, and I wish I could tell you what it was, but I can't.
I'm good.
Okay. Yes?
The access, you
Pardon?
mentioned the access, construction.
Construction access, yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
That's Russell's motion, Mario's second, to close this and take it under advisement. Before we take the vote, is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this project? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, Dave.
Not yet.
I know that.
Oh.
Next on the agenda is 392 Quistit Ave, Woodsville, Mass. for for permission to replace the approximately 71-foot-long by 6-foot wide existing wooden pier, 2.5-foot wide by 15.5-foot ramp, 12-foot by 16-foot float, 14 12-inch diameter pilings in a modified location, and to add 2 12-inch diameter pilings and the associated changes in deck railing and support structures. Thank you.
Again, for the record, David Martin here on behalf of the property owner. Briefly, on the first page, you'll see the site plan. It gives you a general layout of the property of Quistit Ave, a long lot with existing dwelling leading down to the water, and the dock at a very poor scale for review. So if you kindly go to sheet 2, or over here. And by the way, there's the license structure. As you notice, intended copy of the license. I've shown you 2 docks here. The light dock is the existing dock, and the darker dock is the proposed dock. For some unknown reason, the dock was built with a bit of a boat to it. We'd like to take the boat up
Didn't hear
a
that.
curve.
Yeah.
We'd like to take the curve out, begin at the same location on shore and the same location in the ocean, and go in a straight line from here to there. I'm sorry, Chip Schultz is here with us. He's the contractor with the project. Sorry, Joe. In the bottom left of sheet 2, you'll see dock detail notes. I think that's the only thing interesting about what's going on here. The dock was permitted at one width. It was built at another width, and we'd like to reduce present width to less than it is now, less than it was originally permitted at.
What was that, David? I'm sorry.
The dock was permitted at one width, it was constructed at a greater width, and we'd like to reduce the width of the dock.
The pier per.
The pier, the fixed pier.
Okay.
So what I tried to do there was make sense of what's taking place. There were more piles permitted than what you see there today. We would like to add 2 piles to locate the float and remove the bottom anchors. We're still below the number of permitted piles. Other than that, that's it.
Jen?
The only question I have, David, is it not, it's larger than, well, you're reducing the width of the pier to conform with their Chapter 91 license, correct?
Less than.
Less than their Chapter 91
Right.
license.
Deck width
But the
as
float's
licensed.
different.
I'm sorry.
The float is, their Chapter 91
Float is larger.
Yeah, the
than
float's
license.
larger.
That's
64
true.
square feet.
That's going to be an issue.
It is.
Yeah, so they
Okay.
may have to go back to the 8 by 16 float
An issue with this board or issue with the state?
with this board.
Okay.
You'll have to
Maybe
ask the
both.
board. You're asking the board to
I am.
permit the
No,
chapter, to replace the structure.
Right.
You know, I get the bend, you and Chip and I were out there, I get the bend, we got to straighten that out. The
Right.
boulder was right there, am I right? There's a boulder there.
Well, we don't really know why.
I thought there was a boulder that,
We thought there might be, but we didn't see the boulder.
yeah, okay.
Well, I
There
guess.
was a discussion about a boulder, okay, give me that, we were
Yeah,
there a
no,
few months
I
ago.
thought maybe they ran into a boulder and decided to go around it.
Yeah,
That was
they decided to go
purely
around it.
conjecture on our part.
So,
probably right.
that's the only trip up I can see is because we don't, all we have is a Chapter 91 license on this. So that was 8 by 16, you're asking for 12 by 16, you'll have to talk to the board. Other than
Right.
that, I'm fine with the reconfiguration of it and anything like that. So,
Shall I speak to that?
okay.
The existing float is 12 by 16. It's, the owner would like to keep the same size. And number 5 in the dock detail notes, I've done a total for you. The total square feet, as licensed is 491, and as proposed is 432. So I guess I would submit to you that we're under the licensed side of the dock. We reduced the dock width about 3 feet, to about half its width. So there's some clear benefits to the project. And I guess I'll rest my case on that for now.
Okay. Good idea.
Any other questions, Jen?
No, that was it.
Mike?
With the reduction in area, I think that it fits my personal, take. And two, people do things for a reason. There must have been some kind of obstruction that drove that thing south. And if you're going to try and put it in a straight place, you're probably going to run into the same obstruction. I don't, so I guess you got to be prepared to deal with it.
Yeah. Excuse me. Considered that as a problem. The dock, I believe, was constructed in 1966, and the equipment available then probably wasn't what we have available today. If they ran into a boulder, I would have expected that they would have moved seaward or landward with that particular bend. So it seems perhaps it was almost accidental.
Done after lunch, maybe?
Well,
Yeah, maybe a little alcohol's involved.
Not so good on the anchoring.
good enough.
Russ?
No, I'm good with it. I think that's a good trade-off as far as the.
Okay.
So, no problem with that.
Mary?
Yeah, I was going to ask about reducing the float. Also, I'm wondering, do we want soundings on the plan?
If you would like soundings on the plan, you can have soundings on the plan. David, can you do soundings?
You do have on sheet 1 some elevations, and I can state for the record that I went to the site at an extreme low tide and measured 3.5 feet of water, which is
Oh, I get your elevations, I see them over.
significantly below the mean low water. The owner actually wanted to know what the worst case scenario would be there. So, the day that it looks like they pulled the plug on the harbor, on the sewer case and the float. You have those, you have these numbers here, and
You all set with that, Mary?
I'm all set.
Okay.
Mario?
There's no expansion from the existing structure, or is there?
It appears narrower. It appears narrower. It is wider than licensed. It is, the existing one.
So,
Mario, that's a very good question. I think that's the only number. No. As licensed 491, existing, the bottom line, number 5, existing 578, proposed 432. So I did answer that question. So we're significantly below the existing, and we're 60 square feet below licensed.
so now you've had a Chapter 91 since 1966. Will you have to apply for an amended Chapter 91 for this proposal?
DEP, I think the worst case I would expect to find here with DEP, Waterways would request a minor plan modification.
Yeah.
They would not require a new license,
Something new for their file.
just so they had.
Yeah, okay, I'm fine. Yeah.
Okay. If we have no further discussion on this, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to close the hearing, take it under advisement.
Second.
Okay, we have Russell's motion, Mike's second. At this point in time, before the vote, is there any other discussion from the audience about this project? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now have a good night.
And thank you for not stapling these together.
All right. Moving on, we go on to continued requests for a hearing under notice of intent. And this one is 342 Acapesket Road, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission, thank you, for permission to raise R-A-Z-E, the existing dwelling, and construct a new single-family house with attached garage, deck with stairs, install a new Title V sewage disposal system, paved driveway, retaining walls and stairs, rinse station, mitigation plantings, utilities, remove landscape debris, trees, relocate the existing shed, pump, fill and abandon leach pits and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Matt Costa, Cape and Islands Engineering, representing the applicant. Your public announcement pretty much covered it there. Let me add a little bit to it. We're at 342 Acapesket Road. We have an existing cottage on the property. We're working in all previously legally disturbed areas. You'll notice on the plan there's a cesspool that's out on what's delineated as the coastal bank. That's really the only work that is within Zone A that we're doing, and it's going to be just pumping, filling that cesspool and putting some ground cover in that area. So we're going to be raising the existing dwelling, like you said, constructing a new house and two-car garage. There's an existing shed on the property. It was put on the property under a valid building permit. We're going to relocate that shed to the south in an area that is previously disturbed. We're going to do some regrading around the proposed dwelling. Going to add some landscape features. There'll be a retaining wall on the north side of the dwelling. We're going to do a sloped area on the south side, and we're going to plant that with native grasses to help stabilize that slope area. We have done our calculations for work within Zone A, Zone B, and the required mitigation for that. We put together 3 mitigation planting areas as close to the resource area as possible. You'll see them on the plan noted as mitigation planting notes A, B, and C. You'll see that under mitigation area to the south, 1,675 square feet. That area has a note on it about removing some landscape debris and replanting. That's where they, over the years, sort of piled leaves and some brush. We're going to clean that out, and we're going to replant that area. We've gone over the project with staff, and we've come up with a planting list that they're happy with for each of these areas. And those are noted on the plan, under your mitigation planting notes. You'll see under the project statistics area on our plan, I have all of the breakouts for all the distances, existing distance versus proposed to each, the coastal bank, the salt marsh, BBW. We're not moving any closer to the resource area than what the primary dwelling is today. Included with this project is also an upgrade to the existing septic system. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. We write a lengthy narrative documenting the entire project and outlining how it meets the performance standards. I believe the project does meet the performance standards, and respectfully request you issue an order of conditions. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I got your aerials you sent me. I can't help. I mean, the historic aerials, you know, on whether or not that old buffer was planted. Mark did bring up a point that the dock had an old buffer that was required to be planted. The project got an order of certificate of compliance. I can't tell by the aerials if that was removed or not. Mark seemed to think it wasn't there, but it could have been planted, got a certificate of compliance. I can't tell from the aerials if it went away at some point, so.
And
the only
looking
other
at the,
thing-
looking at the plan that they used to pull the building permit for the dock, they only showed the BVW line, salt marsh line, they didn't show the coastal bank, so it could have been that they meant to plant from that BVW line, not the coastal bank line, so. But the project is in compliance, they did get their certificate. Sorry,
The
Jim.
old project was in compliance.
Right.
Talk to me about the coastal bank.
We delineated the coastal bank closest to the resource areas and put the appropriate buffer on it.
And what about the
Mark
ridge line
has-
that comes around, yep.
Mark had fought tooth and nail that the area around the existing dwelling now was a coastal bank. I label it on this plan as a fragmented coastal bank by definition only. What you have is the natural landform for this property slopes from the north to the south, and it's entirely less than 10% except for where we delineated the coastal bank and labeled it coastal bank. What happens is they dug out the foundation. When they regraded around the foundation, they created a little slope on that side, and which is all legally disturbed area. So we're going to regrade that, and then we're going to replant that to stabilize it. So I think that we would overcome any presumption that that fragmented coastal bank by slope definition only is significant, and actually that what we're doing for work is an overall improvement to the resource area.
Okay. Never try to hide it, just always put it up front and talk
Got
about
Got
it.
it right there.
And that was a pretty good explanation.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mike?
Some clarification, says they can overcome any presumption by slope definition only is significant.
You know what, we'll go back through that afterwards.
Replacement of trees.
So we got a heavily treed lot. You look at the aerials for this, and
It'll be
it's,
less trees.
it's fully covered. There are going to be some less trees there, but we're in the Zone B and Zone A area. We're not, in the Zone A area, you know, we have it fully treed. We can add a tree in some of the mitigation plantings if you like. The regulations say in a heavily treed lot, it really wouldn't be necessary, but that's fine if you'd like to see that. If you've been out to the site, there's trees everywhere. And we
I
only
agree.
located trees bigger than 3 inches. I mean, there's smaller guys up and coming too.
We'll stop. The gentleman to my far right will address us.
I think that's what they call passing the buck.
Good?
I'm good.
I'm all set, I'm all set.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, originally you had a 25-foot A-zone for the coastal bank, and it's now been corrected to the 50-foot A-zone?
Correct. My first interpretation was the coastal bank didn't abut a wetland, that it was just land subject to coastal storm flowage. I took the paths of least resistance and went with staff's recommendation.
Yes, and that would have been my recommendation also. Now that we have the 50-foot demarcation line, I think that it's a small matter in terms of square footage, but we now have some structure in the A zone. And
It's no more than what exists today. Look, if you look at the
Well-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
the way you've got it laid out in your mitigation calculations, it appears to say that there's none now, and there's not going to be any. And both of those things are not correct.
I see what you're saying. That couple of square feet in there, I could I could revise those notes if you like. It's not going to change the mitigation calculations. It's virtually the same, if not less, if you include the shed in Zone A, because we're moving the shed
Yes.
out of Zone A.
I see that, and it's not that I'm trying to wring every, square centimeter of mitigation out of you. I would like the plan to be correct.
I would be happy to add that to there for you.
Okay, thank you. Let me just see here. I don't, also, your limit of work is in the A zone.
Correct.
And,
In lawn and disturbed
Yeah.
area.
okay, I'm gonna just roll on by on that one. I'm finished, thank you.
Mario?
I'm going to be the skunk at the garden party.
Sorry.
Overall, I may be nitpicking here, but I think your mitigation plantings for both A and B need a little work. Okay? First of all, you're calling for bayberry, but then you list it as an agrostis. Okay, agrostis is a grass, bayberry is a shrub. So which is it?
Where are you looking, Mario?
The A
Got
zone.
it.
And-
Yay. Bayberry, he says agrostis. Agrostis is a grass.
Yes,
Bayberry is a shrub, so
I believe
I'm just
we went through
confused
that
as to
with you
what.
when we met, and you just neglected to make that change.
Oh, I wouldn't put it exactly like that.
Forgot to make the change?
That would be better.
Okay,
Thank you.
not a problem.
I'm sorry, so what is it? Is it agrostis? or
No,
is
it's
it-
Bayberry.
It's-
We pointed that out when we met with Matt. So we're gonna need to make that plan note change. too.
Yeah. Okay, and for B, once again, you've got bayberry as agrostis, so that needs to be changed. Bayberry is morella, agrostis is a grass.
Got it.
And you're only calling for one species here. And that's a pretty good size area that we're talking about here. We're talking about 1,675 square feet for B.
I was, going with Mark's recommendations on that. We could work with
Well,
staff and
I'm sure it could be
put-
addressed in the order of
Yeah, we
conditions.
could
Yeah.
mix that
But
up.
maybe a little more diversity
Sure,
rather than a monoculture.
okay. No
I don't
problem.
know if Mark will agree with me on
I
that.
think
but-
he was looking
No, he's
towards,
not gonna agree with you.
No,
on
sorry.
that, But, no, I like diversity, we'll do that.
For what it's worth,
it's America, we're diverse.
There we go.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay,
Trees, Maureen. What's your take on trees?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Trees. What's your take on, the argument's been made it's so heavily wooded, it makes no sense to add more trees. Is that true?
Generally, I would agree with that.
We're removing
Good
17
with me.
trees now. It was 14. Just for the record.
These are not specimen trees we're
No,
talking
no.
about.
okay. I'm going to read something off of your plan, which I happen to like. The limit of work will consist of a row of stacked sediment stop or compost roll with flotation fence backing. The sediment stop roll will be replaced as necessary to be maintained in good condition throughout the entire construction period. No fill will be allowed to be placed against the limit of work at any time. I highlighted that because that could be a boilerplate.
It is. We put that on every plan.
And, I mean, for us,
I think you had it in your orders.
we do, but tonight I'm kind of hooked on some site management stuff, so I'm reading it not just for the ones in this room, but for others as well. That this is something that is a standard done by engineers who are aware of how site management should be done. And that includes all that are here this evening. So I'm grateful for that. But I
Thank
guess
you.
sometimes I have to repeat it so the ones that are reading it actually read it. So enough on that.
Thank you.
If we have enough information.
I just have one comment I'd like to make, which is that I was very pleased to see the new plan, getting rid of the walls and going for the planting for
Thought you might like that.
stabilization. It's a nice change.
Mary,
Thank
can you go over what change you wanted in the mitigation calculations? Since Mr. Costa is going to be getting me a new plan by Friday.
It just states that the total area of existing structures within Zone A and of proposed structures within Zone A are 0. And now that we have the correct 50-foot
Yes,
line on there, that's not accurate. I just would like,
okay,
Like-
so change that.
yeah.
So Matt, you're going to add diversity to mitigation planting notes B. You're going to change the Tamiracapen on the bayberry. You're going to give me the correct Latin name for that plant. And you're going to change the square footage all by Friday.
Yeah, on the diversity, do you want to just put that in the order to work out with
Just
you and
put,
Mark, or do you want me to just to
You know
pick
what
something?
you have on mitigation planting notes A?
Yeah, just,
Bring it down to mitigation planting notes B
okay.
with the correct
You know he's
Latin
going to talk
name.
about his sea spray being... No problem, I'll be happy to do that.
B, correct Latin names.
With all that,
Friday.
Can I have it tomorrow?
Make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Thank
Second.
thank you. We have a motion to close the hearing with all the caveats as described by the administrator. Russell's motion, Mike's second. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to talk about this project? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Next, request to amend the existing order of conditions, 257 Shorewood Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. Commission request to amend the existing order of condition,
Stick around.
DEP 254070, to modify the size of the house and to reconfigure the driveway.
That's her rubber band.
I was trying to steal it.
Well,
But that may happen.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Michael Borselli from Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant. We're asking for an amendment. This is what you approved. This is what we're asking for. It's smaller and nothing else has changed. I'm happy to answer any questions.
You're well ahead.
Jen, do you have any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Mike?
No questions.
Russ?
Done here.
Mary?
No, thank you.
Mario?
Nice visual, Mike.
Very good visual. If we have no questions for the applicant, I would entertain a motion.
Move to close the hearing, take it under advisement.
Second.
That would be Mary's motion. Mike's second. Is there anyone else, any further discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you, Mike.
That may be the easiest one you've ever
With
had.
thank you, that was 17 words.
That is a record.
Sometimes brevity works, man.
Next, are we going to be voting any orders this evening?
Yes, we can vote Carolyn.
Kerry Lane? 54 Kerry Lane.
My notes are downstairs,
Raise
so
and rebuild,
Yep, on the,
it's a larger structure.
this,
much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one with the pool fence and...
Yeah,
Correct.
oh yeah, we have to move the pool fence.
That is
They
correct.
did move it.
And
yeah.
the mitigation plantings were outside of the pool fence.
That was, yep.
And originally they went straight through.
My notes are downstairs, so.
And there was what was underneath the deck?
Yeah.
They never, you know, Mr. Chairman, I thought about that after the last hearing. They never actually
Well,
addressed what was
first they-
under,
well,
what did they?
Yes,
Or
they
was
did.
it on the plan?
It's on the
Then
plan.
it was a
Okay, good.
It's addressed up here.
Okay.
It's,
I know he
description of that.
verbally didn't address it.
Yep, pea stone over structural fill beneath deck. And that was what we asked for, was what was gonna go underneath there.
Where was that?
That part.
Oh, got it, yeah, okay.
there any other concerns on the board? With the revised, everyone's seen the revised plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Structural failure beneath the deck.
Your standard conditions will apply, we'll look at their mitigation plantings. Mario will get you some diversity.
Okay.
Yep.
So
No, it's
if
a
we-
good thing. I agree with you.
do we,
Can't
Make a
make
motion
walk
to
a day there.
approve.
Second.
that would be Russell's motion to approve. Mary's second. Any further discussion on the board? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous? So moved.
Mike, can you put
Thank
that on
you.
the table and make sure you...
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Mary's motion, Russell's second, Mario's third. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous? So moved. Thank you so much.